Good evening, friends, fiends, and night owl supremes. Welcome to A Bit Late. It's me, A Bit Frank, and it sure is great to see you here at the Well of the World's End. Mwahahaha. Sounds pretty dire and scary, but we'll just see how the story pans out, won't we? I'm not gonna lie, I am having Coraline visions in my head of the well and the hand and all the scary stuff, but let's just get into the tale, shall we? So do grab a cat, some tea, some blankets, pillows, whatever you need to follow me into the Well of the World's End. Once upon a time, and a very good time it was, though it wasn't in my time, nor in your time, nor anyone else's time, there was a girl whose mother had died, and her father had married again. Okay, this sounds familiar and sad. And her stepmother hated her because she was more beautiful than herself, and she was very cruel to her. Fairytale 101. She used to make her do all the servants' work and never let her have any peace. At last, one day, the stepmother thought to get rid of her altogether, so she handed her a sieve and said, "Go, fill it at the Well of the World's End and bring it home to me full, or woe betide you." For she thought she would never be able to find the Well of the World's End, and if she did, how could she bring home a sieve full of water? Tricky, Mom. Or stepmom, very tricky. Well, the girl started off and apparently didn't question this at all anyway, and asked everyone she met to tell her where the Well of the World's End was. But nobody knew, and she didn't know what to do when a little old woman all bent double told her where it was and how she could get to it. So she did what the old woman told her and at last arrived at the Well of the World's End. And no mention is given of how long it took her to get there to the world's end. I would assume a very long time, or maybe it's just really close, like in a parallel world. It's up to our imaginations, which is kind of cool. Back to the story. But when she dipped the sieve in the cold, cold water, it all ran out again. She tried and she tried again, but every time it was the same. And at last she sat down and cried as if her heart would break. Oh. Suddenly, she heard a croaking voice and looked up and saw a great frog with goggle eyes looking at her and speaking to her.
"What's the matter, dearie?"
It said. And I'm sorry, friends and fiends, but this is a frog talking, so please bear with me. Oh dear, she said. "My stepmother has sent me all this long way to fill this sieve with water from the Well of the World's End, and I can't fill it or know how to at all."
"Well,"
said the frog,
"if you promise me to do whatever I bid you for a whole night long, I'll tell you how to fill it."
Ooh, I don't know about this. Be careful, girl, be careful. So the girl agreed, and then the frog said,
"Stop it with moss and dab it with clay, and then it will carry the water away."
That's very smart. And then it gave a hop, skip, and jump and went flop into the Well of the World's End. So the girl looked about for some moss and lined the bottom of the sieve with it, and over that she put some clay. And then she dipped it once again into the Well of the World's End, and this time the water didn't run out, and she turned to go away. Just then the frog popped its head out of the Well of the World's End and said,
"Remember your promise."
"All right," said the girl, for she thought, "What harm can a frog do me?" Ooh, famous last words? So she went back to her stepmother and brought the sieve full of water from the Well of the World's End. The stepmother was fine and angry, but she said nothing at all. That very evening they heard something tap-tapping at the door down low, and a voice cried out,
"Open the door, my hiney, my heart. Open the door, my own darling. Mind you the words that you and I spoke down in the meadow at the World's End Well."
"Whatever can that be?" cried out the stepmother, and the girl had to tell her all about it and what she had promised the frog. "Girls must keep their promises," said the stepmother. Oh no. "Go and open the door this instant," for she was glad the girl would have to obey a nasty frog. I'm sure she was. So the girl went down and opened the door, and there was the frog from the Well of the World's End, and it hopped and it skipped and it jumped till it reached the girl, and then it said,
Lift me to your knee, my hiney, my heart. Lift me to your knee, my own darling. Remember the words you and I spoke down in the meadow by the world's end well.
But the girl didn't like to till her stepmother said, "Lift it up this instant, you hussy." Oh no, girls must keep their promises. So at last she lifted the frog up onto her lap and lay it there for a time, till at last it said,
"Give me some supper, my hiney, my hearts. Give me some supper, my darling. Remember the words you and I spoke in the meadow by the well of the world's end."
I feel like they didn't speak that many different words at the well of the world's end in the meadow, and he's talking more than they talked then, and I have a feeling it's gonna keep going. Anyway, well, she didn't mind doing that, so she got it a bowl of milk and bread and fed it well. And when the frog had finished, it said,
"Go with me to bed." My hiney, my heart. Go with me to bed, my own darling. Mind you the words you spake to me down by the cold well, so weary.
Oh no. But that the girl wouldn't do till her stepmother said, "Do what you promised, girl." Girls must keep their promises. Not if you're not comfortable, though. I'm gonna say that. That's me saying that to you, my friends and fiends. If you're never comfortable, no. Anyway, the stepmother is saying, girls must keep their promises. Do what you're bid, or out you go, you and your froggy. And maybe she should just leave. But maybe that's my reading from now on a reading from then. So the girl took the frog with her to bed and kept it as far away from her as she could. Well, just as the day was beginning to break, what should the frog say but,
"Chop off my head, my hiney, my heart. Chop off my head, my own darling. Remember the promise you made to me down by the cold well, so weary."
She didn't make that many promises. Whatever. At first the girl wouldn't, for she thought of what the frog had done for her at the well of the world's end. But when the frog said the words over again, I'm sure that would be annoying, she went and took an axe and chopped off its head. And lo and behold, there stood before her a handsome young prince, who told her that he had been enchanted by a wicked magician, and he could never be unspelled till some girl would do his bidding for a whole night, and chop off his head at the end of it. Of course, sure. The stepmother was surprised when she found the young prince instead of the nasty frog, and she wasn't best pleased, you may be sure, when the prince told her that he was going to marry her stepdaughter because she had unspelled him. So they were married and went away to live in the castle of the king, his father, and all the stepmother had to console her was that it was all through her that the stepdaughter was married to a prince. The end. Ooh, I don't have a good feeling from this story, my friends and fiends. Like, of course it's a prince spelled to be a frog, but you can always change your mind in any situation. You can absolutely do that. So that's my takeaway from it. I don't know. The story was a little weird, but I wonder where the well of the world's end actually is. And I wouldn't mind visiting it myself. That just seems like a very interesting destination. That is when travel opens back up again, if it ever does. In the meantime, do you know where the well of the world's end is? Let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna start some research on this. Maybe. We'll see. But hey, thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening, or sleep if that's what you're doing. But for now, I will leave you. Off to sleep and dream what you will, or stay a while and enjoy another tale. Whichever you choose, I'll speak to you again. And until then, sweet dreams, my friends. Good night.